Look, I think there's many companies that have sort of thrown their future and bet on streaming. What I would say, though, is just step back for a second. In Q4, Netflix added 8.3 million subscribers. They're telling you, even with a double-digit price increase in the US and Canada and a content slate that's a little back-end weighted, they're going to add 2.5 million in Q1. So in the 2 quarters, they're adding almost 11 million subs. So a 20+ million subscriber run rate. No one's looking at it like that today. Everyone's just focused on the fact that, in the short term, this Q1 is well below expectations. And there's no doubt it's below my expectations. It's definitely not a good number. On the flip side, the reality is they're growing revenues still at a very healthy clip. And all signs point to the ability to reaccelerate revenue growth as growth in Asia and even parts of Europe reaccelerate. I don't think they totally know why growth has been slower in certain parts of the world. I think they sort of got to that. And I think it's sort of the lack of understanding is why the stock is as weak as it is. But I do have a lot of conviction, and I remain convinced that the upside here is 6, 7, 800 million subscribers. And that's why you want to be buying the stock down almost 100 points today, is that when you've seen these complete crises of confidence and conviction, when every analyst on Wall Street is just throwing in the towel and giving up because it didn't make their Q1 number, that's the opportunity where you step in and you can make incredible amounts of money. And that's what's happened in the stock historically. Remember, this stock was at an all-time high not that long ago. So there is the ability to swing pretty violently. And I think that's the opportunity that certain people are going to take advantage of today.
Would you take it just in Netflix, or do you think this is also a buying opportunity in some of the other media companies right now, given that they're keying off of some of this?
Look, I think it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with Disney. Bob Chapek's got a lot of decisions. He's clearly investing more in streaming. I think Disney's probably going to have just like Netflix, I think they're going to have a pretty decent calendar Q4, their fiscal Q1. They gave Disney Plus to everyone who had Hulu Live. So they're definitely have some nice tailwinds at Disney Plus, but they've also talked about the content slate being very back-end weighted towards in 2022. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Disney echo a lot of what you just heard from Netflix. So look, I think if you're looking long-term, there's probably going to be a lot of interesting opportunities today that are created by this crisis of confidence in streaming. This is not over. The streaming wars are not over. This is not, no one's giving up.
What about, Rich, what about the margin picture and this idea? I mean, at $20 on the high end, for example, of Netflix, is there a top in terms of how many of these subscriptions, either Americans or more broadly, given that these are global businesses, will accept?
I mean, I guess I would flip it around and go, look at how all of these services have grown. You've added Apple TV Plus, you've added Disney Plus, you've added Hulu or Star overseas. I think the reality is that if you think about it, the multi-channel bundle, the cable bundle, at least in the US, but you can look around the world, that's what's disappearing, right? The thing that you were spending $80 to $100 a month for, there's a lot of dollars to be reallocated as people shift their spending away from linear TV towards streaming TV. The reality is there is still growth. I mean, they added 1 million subs in the US or in the US and Canada, despite incredibly high penetration rates that dwarf where they are overseas. So I guess your question, Andrew, is do they ever get to where they are in the US, in Asia? Maybe not. I don't think they have to for the stock to be a tremendous growth company from where we are today in terms of the stock.